time now for Truth or Fake with Vedika Behel. Vedika, you've been looking into some images that were played on Polish television. What did you find?
Yes, Delano, a very interesting alleged map has been circulating on social media this week. If we take a look at this tweet, now what we can see here is a alleged screenshot from a broadcast from Polish state broadcaster TVP1. Now we can see here that there's a weather woman standing in front of a map of Poland, and whilst nothing might seem out of the ordinary of a weather woman standing in front of her country's map, if we take a little bit of a closer look at the borders behind her in that map, there are definitely some inaccuracies to be seen there. Now, if we just pull up a side-by-side of the map in question. Now, this is a map, this is a legitimate map that we have cut ourselves of Poland's international borders, and this is the alleged map from TVP1. Now, what we can see here is that Poland's borders with Belarus and also Ukraine, this little dip here goes out, and this is exactly the accurate map there. But in this one, by the alleged state broadcaster there, we can see that Poland's territory massively extends into that of Ukraine. In fact, it's almost entirely captured the city of Lviv, which is very much part of Ukraine. And in fact, it extends so far that it's actually almost coming up to the capital of Kyiv there. So there is definitely some inaccuracies in this map. Now, internet users online were claiming that this was deliberate, it was purposefully done, implying that Poland intended to annex or take over a part of Ukraine, or indeed join the Russian war effort. Now, these images were also shared by plenty of pro-Russian media as well as pro-Russian Telegram accounts. But there are several indications here that these images were never published by the broadcaster TVP1 at all, and that they were indeed doctored.
And what are the signs that these images were doctored?
Well, many Twitter users shared to us in the comments there that the spellings in the countries in that map behind her were inaccurate. And that's because there was no use of the Polish diacritics. Now, diacritics are the symbols or the glyphs that accompany letters of the alphabet in order to change their pronunciation. And Twitter users were quick to react to this online to show the difference between how things were spelled in the map and how they should have been spelled in Polish. So this is really one of the first indications to show that this is probably not orchestrated by Poles, especially very unlikely from the Polish state broadcaster. It's very unlikely that they would make such a huge error like this. As well as that, if we also take a closer look at the graphics and the aesthetic that TVP, the broadcaster, generally tends to use for their weather forecast, it doesn't match up really in any universe with what has been used here in these images. So they are extremely different. As well as that, this woman here, while she is indeed a presenter in Poland, she doesn't actually work for this channel TVP1 at all. She's actually a presenter for the channel Torwam, which is a Polish Catholic channel from the city of Torun, and it's very likely that the people who doctored that image took her likeness from this image. This is a public broadcast that we found on YouTube with exactly the same woman in it, and it is from 2020, and as we can see there, we can indeed see it is the same woman. She's wearing the same dress. She has the same nail colors. The hairstyle and the haircut is exactly the same. So it's very much likely that they stole her likeness from this broadcast that she did indeed do and just inverted these images there.
And Vedika, Poland says it's regularly targeted by Russian propaganda.
Yes, well, first of all, TVP1 has directly responded to these internet claims themselves. They have slammed it as Russian propaganda. This is the statement that they put out on their website. They slammed it as Russian propaganda. They even went as far as to denounce it as what they described as Russia's informational warfare toolbox. Now, they say that this TVP1 logo had been pasted onto these doctored images to convince the Russian public of theories propagated by Moscow. Now, on top of this, Poland's Secretary of State, Stanislaw Zarin, has also weighed in. Apologies for these technical issues there. but Zarin has also weighed in. Now, he has said that these Russian propaganda attacks are part of the Kremlin's disinformation strategy. They say that this disinformation strategy is to disparage Ukraine and disparage Ukrainians, and essentially to scare people with the idea of Poland entering the war effort against Ukraine. So it's essentially made to misinform, but also wear down Ukrainian society's trust in Poland. And that trust is pretty high, especially as Poland is one of the strongest Ukrainian allies since Russia invaded the war. They are the country with one of the loudest voices in support of Ukraine, calling for stronger and steeper sanctions against the Kremlin. But they've also accepted the highest numbers of Ukrainian refugees. And just last week, Poland did in fact vow to send German-made supply German-made Leopard tanks for the Ukrainian war effort.
Vedika, thank you very much for that. Vedika Bahel there with Truth or Fake. Time for Focus next, and today we bring you a report from Brazil.